On May 10th, 1967, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke at the Hungry Club Forum, which was started as a secret initiative of the Butler Street YMCA in Atlanta. It was a place where sympathetic white politicians could meet out of the public eye with local black leaders who were excluded from many of the city's civic organizations. In that speech, the Reverend Dr. King acknowledged the achievements of the civil rights movement. He said, "I need not remind you those were glorious days. We cannot forget the days of Montgomery, when 50,000 Negroes decided that it was ultimately more honorable to walk the streets in dignity than to accept segregation within in humiliation. We will not forget the 1960 sit-in movement, when by the thousands students decided to sit in at lunch counters, protesting humiliation and segregation. And when they decided to sit down at those counters, they were in reality standing up for the best in the American dream and carrying the whole nation back to those great wells of democracy which were dug deep by the Founding Fathers in the formulation of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. We will not forget the freedom rides of '61 and the Birmingham movement of '63, a movement which literally subpoenaed the conscience of a large segment of the nation to appear before the judgment seat of morality on the whole question of civil rights. We will not forget Selma, when by the thousands we marched from that city to Montgomery to dramatize the fact that Negroes did not have the right to vote. Those were marvelous movements, but that period is over now, and we are moving into a new phase. And because we are moving into this new phase, some people feel that the civil rights movement is dead. The new phase is a struggle for genuine equality. It is not merely a struggle for decency now. It is not merely a struggle to get rid of the brutality of a Bull Connor and a Jim Clark. It is now a struggle for genuine equality on all levels. And this will be a much more difficult struggle. You see, the gains in the first period, or the first era of struggle, were obtained from the power structure at bargain rates. It didn't cost the nation anything to integrate lunch counters. It didn't cost the nation anything to integrate hotels and motels. It didn't cost the nation a penny to guarantee the right to vote. Now we are in a period where it will cost the nation billions of dollars to get rid of poverty, to get rid of slums, to make quality integrated education a reality. This is where we are now. Now we're going to lose some friends in this period. The allies who were with us in Selma will not all stay with us during this period. We've got to understand what is happening. Now, they often call this the white backlash. It's just a new name for an old phenomenon. The fact is that there has never been any single, solid, determined commitment on the part of the vast majority of white Americans to genuine equality for Negroes. There has always been ambivalence. Now is the time for me and my fellow white folk to throw off any semblance of ambivalence and commit ourselves to dismantling racism in our political system, in our secular and in our religious institutions, and in ourselves. It's time to throw off the ambivalence that wants to say all lives matter and is too timid to say proudly and without any equivocation, Black lives matter. Now is the time for us all to commit to undoing what the Reverend Dr. King called a thing-oriented society and shift to a person-oriented society. Now is the time to commit to nonviolence as a way of life in our schools and in our homes and in society. Now is the time to address the immorality of income inequality and the ways our city builds chains that traps people in poverty. Many of us are now celebrating the observance of Passover, the celebration of a people's liberation. Many of us just celebrated Easter and how Jesus broke the chains of death for everyone. If we want to resurrect the ideals of Jesus, if we want to keep alive the hope of Passover, we are called to put our feet in the street and keep our hand on the plow. Hear these words of the Reverend Dr. King from a speech given 51 years ago today. And if we will only make the right choice, we will be able to transform this pending cosmic elegy into a creative psalm of peace. If we will make the right choice, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our world into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. If we will but make the right choice, we will be able to speed up the day all over America and all over the world when justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. And on her birthday, hear these words of Maya Angelou. Each new hour holds new chances for new beginnings. Do not be wedded forever to fear, yoked eternally to brutishness. The horizon leans forward, offering you space to place the new steps of change. May it be so.
Somebody call the police. I can't follow that. When you can smile and have joy in the midst of insanity, you've done well. When the world around you, people have gone crazy because they don't like the way you look, that's insanity. When you continue to do the same things you always do and get the same results, that's insanity. When you spend billions to hold back anybody, when we could all share the wealth and get to be somebody, that's a sad state of affairs. Yet they'll call us African Americans. I'm an American African. That'll catch up with some folks later. See, there's something called plate tectonics, and we're all family. We just don't know what happened that we got separated. And it was never difficult to find me because I have a tan. Because of that tan, it was easy to define that I should do certain things based on the historical, nonsensical people that made it that way. Because all I remember is it says that these things were written. It says that God has made us all equal. And somewhere along the line, somebody wanted to cheat. So we're really not dealing with racism, we're dealing with demons. See, because either you're doing what's right or you're doing what's wrong, but you can't tell a lie, you don't know the difference between the two. The devil don't make you do nothing, it's a choice you make yourself. See, you made choices today, you came here to hear something, and you're hearing what you never heard before. You see, there's reconciliation, there's not a white church or a black church, it's a household of faith. And when you really want to find the time to realize that you're the church, he's not coming back for a building. I don't have to argue with nobody that God is real. When you get here, they can argue with him. My job is to give you the good news and not the blues. If you've never walked a mile in my shoes, you don't know the good news that I have for you because I know where I've come from. And I'm only holding to nobody as nobody's slave. And what has been in the past can't catch me in the future because I'm looking too far ahead. And now that I'm 69, I can look and tell you what time it was when I couldn't tell you that as a young man. Because somewhere along the way, I bought into the lie that I couldn't do what I could do. See, there was a young boy with a dog, and he saw his friends having fun, so he tied the dog, but he didn't tie it well. So he played and had fun. The dog could have too, because he wasn't tied, but instead he yipped and he yelled. And I see that same old story when he came back and found his dog untied. He pat him on the head and said, "You're a good dog." Well, that same old story is time and time again with the masters of men. But they're no masters at all, that we just believe we're tied.